Hey guys, welcome to Ron's Reactions, episode 30 of 2023 Outlook on the AFC West. We're presented by Fantasy Football Infinity, brought to you by Dynasty Theories, a proud partner of Dynasty Daddy. What's happening in the holler? What's happening, McSpanky?
What's up, man? That's quite the mouthful, our little intro there, isn't it?
It is. There's
I'm
a lot
proud
of
of you every time.
Thank you so much. It's a lot of words for me, that's for sure, to read all that.
Yeah, you get it all in there. It's well done.
Well, now that we had that on, Bossy. But how are you guys doing? You guys tell me about your days. We talked about my day earlier.
Pretty good, man. Yeah, so glad to be back. I know we missed last week. I was traveling for work, and I know you guys had. I think Ron, you had some stuff come up, but happy to be back, man. I missed it last week.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I'm
feels
back.
like a month, doesn't it?
It does 1 week, and it makes me feel like a lot. Had a good week last week, though. I was drafting for my Warrior Bowl, so that's always fun.
You're gonna win it?
I won my division last year. We'll see.
Nice.
Hey, nice. I'm taking down my mirror league. That's for sure.
Heck yeah, man. Got to represent the brand.
Yeah, McSpanky, are you into any of these?
Dude, I've never participated in any of the Scott Fish Bowl or copycat kind of leagues. Like, I would like to. I just have never been invited or asked to be in any of them. So I'm like, okay, sounds fun.
Next year, I'll make sure
we'll get you in there. Yeah.
Next year, Warrior Bowl. They're always like, he was trying to get more people this year, and I just forgot about it after,
Warrior.
Yeah, so it's cool.
Nice.
Yes. How about we start me up?
Let's do
it, man. Holler, why don't you kick us off? So
yeah, absolutely. So I have 3 guys here, 2 running backs and a wide receiver. I just think they're all like relatively, not too expensive. And I think if you're a contending team, they're definitely going to help you out. So I think my 2 running backs are Alvin Kamara and Joe Mixon. I know like there was a lot of talk about Mixon. What's gonna happen? I know we'll get to it in the news. But I just think both of Kamara and Mixon are maybe, around second round picks. So if you're contending, I think that's probably going to be a late round second pick. So you may need to throw like a third in there as well, possibly. But I think, if they're going to help you on your flex for sure, flex spot. So I just think those 2 guys are really good. And then same with Amari Cooper. I think that offense is going to get better. Deshaun Watson will be another year in, back. And I don't love Deshaun Watson, but I just think Amari Cooper is going to be the guy there. I also love Njoku there, but I just think Cooper's going to be the one to get most of those points.
I agree. I love Amari Cooper. I think he's probably the more expensive one out of the group you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of all offseason, I've been trading in any league where I think I have a contending roster. My 24 first for Amari Cooper. I think he can get you over the hump. Especially because I think this Browns offense is going to be a lot more pass heavy than it has been in the past, and Amari Cooper is going to be a huge part of that.
Yep, and maybe like he'll be you have 2 really good receivers, and it's a start 3. Go out and grab Cooper. I think he will definitely solidify that. And then if you have 3 good ones, might as well put him in that flex spot because he'll be somebody that you can put in every week. It'll get you some good points for sure.
Yeah, if Amari Cooper is your wide receiver 4, you're going places.
You're going places.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm thinking. If you feel like you're confident to send away your 24 first.
Oh, you're throwing it away.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, you're gonna throw it away for some money if you feel like you're gonna win. So not bad.
That's true
for sure.
You're not wrong.
And then Kamara and Mixon. I think Kamara can even get cheaper. Say he gets 4-game suspension. I think for sure he's going to be somebody that will get maybe even cheaper. Definitely able to have to just send away your second for sure. Because a second in the late, sometimes people will get kind of weird about it. They think, but I feel like, this year for sure was the late seconds were still pretty good. There's some guys on the back end of the second that's still pretty solid. So I just think next year won't be as good, but I think, if he gets a suspension, for sure, you'll be able to get send away a late second.
So I wanted to ask about that. Have you felt any like pushback? Maybe it's just me, but with some of these like older aging running backs, people like, their value isn't as high as it once was, but people who roster them are still valuing them that way. And
100%.
They're still expecting a first, even though it's like you can't pay a first for that. Like, and
like Joe Mixon for sure.
Yeah, and then my thought with that is like, how do you counter that, right? Is it just like, oh, negotiations are off the table at this point, or are you saying, okay, I can give you your first, but I need something back?
Yeah, so maybe you can always do like that. Say you're going to send your first, maybe get their second back, and their team isn't very good. That's going to be one of the 201 to 206 most definitely. Mm-hmm. And I think if you get that back, I don't think it's that big, especially if that's going to help you win. You're only moving back the worst six spots, right? Say you win and they have a 2.06, like you're only moving back 6 spots. I don't know if they'll send that, but I just think some people just think that first will help them,
They do. People really just like they covet those first round picks, and so and maybe to your point, you don't get their actual second round pick, but you get maybe a player that's kind of valued that you value kind of in that early second round. That maybe they're not quite as high on. So
yeah,
sure.
Ron, what do you got for your contender buys here?
Well, of course we got a Lions player in here.
Have to.
Yeah, we got to do it. It's for the brand. So we got to get Sam Laporta. You got to get in now, and you got to do it quick and fast because the hype train is building. He's already surpassed everybody on the depth chart, and I'll tell you, every single one of those tight ends that's on the depth chart can at least block. They may not be the receiver that Sam Laporta is, but they are all capable blockers, and he's already taking them off the field with what he's been doing so far. I'm excited for the pads to come on and see even more Sam Laporta news. But to be honest, I've been so far out of it. I don't even know what you do to buy Sam Laporta at this point, but I know that you need to go out and get him. I believe in what Brad Campbell, what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are putting together. And I think, get in on the ground floor price. And we're always trying to sneak in on a young tight end. Everybody wants Dalton Kincaid. Everybody's talking about Dalton Kincaid. Everybody knows Michael Mayer. Everybody wants to be in on Michael Mayer. And Laporta kind of still just feels like the left out, kind of guy for me anyway. And then we have Juju. I think Juju's always a buy because I think Juju's good at football. And I think he can be a flexible player for you. And they didn't sign D-Hop. So who else they throwing the ball? Who else is Mac throwing the ball to at this point? Tyquan Thornton, Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki are the target
Kendrick
competitors.
Bourne says hello.
Kendrick who? Kendrick Black? And then Tyler Higbee. He should be cheap as hell, and he's about the only show in town in LA with Cooper Kupp. I think he's in store for a big year.
He's going to be really good in the red zone, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
I'd be like that,
See Stafford out there slinging it today?
Yeah. I saw a little bit of that, yeah.
Yeah. So hurt, isn't he? Yeah.
It's easy when there's no, pass rush coming at him.
Yeah.
And a hack together
Matthew Stafford does not even fear any pass rushes.
Well, I believe that. That's part of the problem.
Hey.
We talked about
I love that recklessness.
We talked about it last episode, but that line is so bad. I just, I
don't care. He did it for 12 years in Detroit, and he was fantasy viable then. I don't care. Until you stretcher him off the field.
Which you might have to.
The man's worth it.
We'll see. I like the Higbee. I like the Higbee buy. Like he's actually one of my my late round like dart throws for like best ball tournaments, just because I think he's gonna score quite a few touchdowns, and you can get him for basically nothing.
Yeah,
I've been getting a lot of Juju in best ball, and I got him in the Warrior Bowl. So redraft. Nice. I think it's going to be tough with Juju. I mean, I would feel more comfortable with best ball than I would in redraft. Yeah. So he was like, I think my 5th or 6th receiver.
Right. Like you don't have to take him very high to have that Juju solid production.
So I'll have some time to see a little bit, but I don't know. I couldn't find any. There was no other upside there, and I just like we talked about. There's nobody else for the receiving core there.
So here's my problem with Juju. Receivers that come into New England's offense, that's a complicated offense. The same thing that's going on in Las Vegas. They don't typically come in and just produce right away. And we saw even last year with Juju in Kansas City, it took him a little bit to learn the offense to get going, and then he got hurt. And he missed all of the offseason training programs in New England because he was still recovering from his injury. Supposedly he's good to. I was just checking. Supposedly he's good to go for camp, so he avoided the PUP list, which is awesome. I'm a little worried. Like, how long is it going to take for him to get up to speed in this offense? And on top of that,
they have much of a choice.
I agree. I think though there's a possibility that Bill Belichick and Bill O'Brien are just going to say, you know what? Why don't we just run the ball like 35 times and we'll throw to the tight ends and just call it good? You know what I mean?
Isn't it the same as the Godwin and D-Hop kind of arguments? Is there's no other show in town here. Force feed volume. I'm not saying he's that level, but I'm just saying from a perspective of he's probably going to get targets funneled to him because he's better than Tyquan and he's better than Kendrick Bourne. We know that for a fact.
I do. I don't know. I'm skeptical. I've always been kind of out on Juju though. So this is me just continuing that train. Yeah.
So he's my
getting on the good Juju.
He's my 6th wide receiver there for the Warrior Bowl. So
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know if I'll ever use him.
Cheap.
Yeah, and that's what it is.
I feel more comfortable in a best ball because you don't have to worry about putting him in and then he burns you. So I feel much more comfortable with a best ball, but it's a redraft, so we'll see if I even use him.
That's the thing. You're gonna have to
feel 6. You might not have to use them.
Yeah. I mean, during bye weeks and stuff, you might have to, but I don't know. It's kind of a crapshoot, and I just don't think you're ever gonna
solid week.
I don't think you're ever gonna feel confident in starting him.
I just don't want him to kill me.
But he might.
We're talking about cheap buys. I mean, he could.
Yeah.
But he's still Juju, and he's a solid player. I like to have solid players.
That's fair. Speaking of solid players, the first name on my list is James Conner. I think he is being criminally underrated I know he's older and he's had some injury concerns, but look at the running back depth chart in Arizona. There's no one else there. There's Keontae Ingram.
Ingram, baby.
Yeah, he was like an undrafted free agent. Like he's fine. Like I like Keontae Ingram, but like he's not gonna steal volume away. Like that offense is probably going to be bad, especially while Kyler is probably on the shelf. Like they're going to run the ball a ton. So it's going to be one of those where like you maybe don't want to watch James Conner, but if you just look at a stat line at the end of the day, you're going to be like, hey, sweet, he got me like 14 points. Nice.
Is that type of volume good for James Conner though, and his track record?
Well,
you know what I mean?
I get where you're coming from, but you're going to ride that into the sunset and just see what happens.
Sure.
You're just going to take this flaming wagon down to the ground.
And I think with Conner is I also think he's not that he's still not as big a name as like Kamara, Mixon, those guys. So I just think you'll get him for even cheaper, right? Somebody will be easy. It will be easier for someone to move off of him.
Yeah, he could get your 212 could get you James Conner.
No,
100%.
I saw him go for a 24-3 last week in one of my leagues, and that was like a middling team that got him. So like we're talking probably like the 308 maybe. So like he's like free. No one wants him.
Cool. That's a good buy then.
There's just a stink on the whole Arizona Cardinals, but like, I mean, even the worst offenses can put together some good drives and put together some points, right? So
they can.
Yeah, they can. And I think especially it doesn't matter which quarterback ends up starting, like they're gonna lean on him for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing. He doesn't come off the field. He's a good pass blocker. He's a good receiver in the passing game. Like he's a good runner. He's an excellent goal line runner. I don't know how many goal line carries they're gonna get.
Yeah,
but he should get those, and he's really good at it. So, I think you throw him on the end of your starting lineup, and you can just kind of lock in a good, I don't know, like 12 to 14 points a week, and just call it good.
Yeah, that's a good flex spot right there.
It's a good day.
And then the other two names I have Big Mike Williams out in LA, and then Dalton Schultz is a tight end that I think is being a little bit underrated right now too.
I like Schultz a lot.
I think Schultz is. I see. Okay, so Ryan, you're shaking your head. What?
I don't want either of them.
Okay.
Totally out on both of them. Mike Williams just seems to just hurt feelings all the time. I can't trust Mike Williams. The same way you with Juju and Dalton Schultz was a product of Dak Prescott, in my opinion, and Kellen Winslow in that offense. I don't think that Dalton Schultz is a plus tight end. I think he's a good tight end. And I don't think CJ Stroud is a plus quarterback. I think he could be an okay quarterback at best. And I just don't see that working very well for Dalton Schultz in Houston.
I get that. I think the argument for Dalton Schultz is similar to the argument for like Chris Godwin, or though what you use for Juju. It's that there's not a lot else there, and the volume, and on a bad team, the volume's got to go somewhere, right? Sure. As much as they might want to run the ball with Dameon Pierce, if they're behind all game, you still got to throw it. And you got John Mechie, who's basically a rookie. Nice to see, by the way. John Mechie's like clear and ready.
Congrats, John Mechie, to get on the field. Yeah.
And then you have Nico Collins, who he's not anything. I mean, I don't know if I go quite that far, but he's just a guy. He's just a guy, right? You got the ghost of Robert Woods out there. Like, I think Dalton Schultz is going to get a lot of those.
I tried to get Robert Woods thrown into a trade, and Roy wouldn't do it. He did it with Richie James, though.
Oh, wow.
Hey, that might be. I think that'd be better, actually.
I just got Richie James in my best ball too. I like that.
I like Richie James. I think he's a good player. But
I like the call out for Schultz. I'm a little worried with Mike Williams. He's always hurt. Yep. But that offense is going to be. We'll get to it, but that offense is going to be good.
Yeah. Here's the thing with Mike Williams. And, well, we can save it for when we get to the Chargers later.
Yeah. Let's save Mike, because we are going to talk about him. You want to start? Oh wait, we have news. There's actually news.
We do have news
now. There's news again.
Yeah, we can kind of just hit these kind of quickly so we can get to the divisions. But so that we missed last week, but DeAndre Hopkins signed with the Titans. I don't have.
Sounds like forever ago now.
Very high. But I do think this is kind of like high level. I think this is really good for Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry, because I think this at least keeps the Titans afloat in the playoff race. So I think this keeps Will Levis off the field for the most part.
Yeah, agreed. I don't really think it does much.
Always just seem to come around and compete.
They do.
Yeah, that's what we talked about. They compete hard, and I just think for Treylon, part of me thinks it could be good. Part of me thinks it'll be indifferent. Well, I still got to see. The jury's out.
I think it's good for Treylon, to be honest, to have D-Hop on the other side of the field, and it affords him an opportunity to prove himself against some lackluster coverage. And as soon as he does, then we can find out. If he can't beat the cornerback 2 on a team, then we know that Treylon's a bum.
I agree. I think this actually helps Treylon, because I think DeAndre Hopkins, at this point in his career, he's still going to draw the best coverage, but he's not going to be the best wide receiver on the field for you. And so this is going to help Treylon Burks get more favorable matchups in the offense.
And hopefully he can learn a bit from Hopkins,
Oh, for sure.
And I think, but it hurts Chiggy the most, I would say.
I do too.
Yeah. I never thought Chiggy was a thing, to be honest with you guys. I was never in on that.
Chiggy is.
I wasn't going to. Who was the other guy? Jonnu Smith? I wasn't going to do that again.
Yeah, I feel like Chiggy is quickly becoming this year's Alberto, where he was just hyped up all off season, and then they actually put pads on and start playing, and you're like, maybe this guy wasn't quite what we thought or hoped he was.
Yeah, super athletic, but the football skill level is.
I don't think he'll be as bad as Alberto, because we actually saw it from Chiggy.
That's tough.
But I do like caution with Chiggy for sure, especially now that Hopkins is there.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Joe Mixon restructures his contract to stay with the Bengals. Is that because he's afraid he has more gun charges coming?
No, I think it's because he saw the state of the running back market and said, you know what, maybe it's better just to stay on a team.
I think he said something about wanting
legal issues.
Yeah, I think he said something about wanting to win a Super Bowl as well. So good for him. I think it's always good to see them restructure.
For sure. And I mean, the Bengals got to free up some money they got to pay Burrow, Higgins, and Chase here in the next couple of years. So they got
I think they're gonna lose Higgins.
You think so?
You think?
Yeah. Well, because he's gonna want money. So I just think
he is. That's the thing. The Bengals too. They're kind of like a family owned franchise too. So they're not just made out of money like some of these other franchises are. So they might have to get creative with their.
You can't break up that LSU band either.
No.
There's no way.
Burrow.
That's the
I don't
thing.
think you could do that to those two.
As good as Higgins is, he's definitely the third option
the odd
there.
Man
Like
out.
Yeah.
Evan Ingram signs his deal.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Got a big deal.
No more Bretton Strange hype.
Yeah, Stranger Things are over.
Yeah.
Evan Ingram's awesome. I'm really excited. I think that offense, I'm like really cautiously optimistic they could be a top 5 offense in the NFL this year. That came out a little hot.
Trevor Kool-Aid. That Trevor Kool-Aid.
I mean,
I love Trevor too, though.
I feel like it's possible. I think what's going to hurt them the most is obviously their defense. So, but I think like in fantasy wise,
that's what you want for fantasy.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is like as a team, I think like their defense hurts them, but I do think it's possible they could be top 5. They've got a lot of good weapons there.
Yep.
So you're drinking the Ridley Kool-Aid then. He looks more explosive than ever.
I told you guys this.
He's phenomenal on
our group DM. I was like, I gotta get off Twitter. I gotta get off Twitter before I just go out and start buying all the Calvin Ridley because like I was watching all these highlight clips. I was like, oh no,
somebody shut this thing off.
Like, I saw one
real good.
I saw one thing on Twitter. It was Zay Jones. It was like Zay Jones, JV, Calvin Ridley varsity or something. It's like, come on, guys.
Did you see, dude? It's like they were like playing a different position on the field, man. It looked like Zay Jones was in slow motion.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And Zay Jones.
One's a first round wide receiver, and I don't. Zay was a first round wide receiver, wasn't he? No,
he came in the. I think he was a top 50 pick though. He was in the second round.
Okay,
he was like top half of the second. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Ridley's just stoked to be out there. He's like, "Fuck, finally, get me out of there."
I think so too.
I think so. I don't know.
Kadarius.
No surprise here.
Yeah, right?
Dude. So we can save Tony for the Chiefs too, but he's hurt already. It's like every time you start to buy in even a little bit, he just gets hurt.
Drives us right into the Chiefs here.
Yeah, let's divisional deep dive into the Chiefs.
Let's do it. Okay. So Patrick Mahomes, he's awesome. I wanted to just with Mahomes, I wanted to ask you guys, like, is there a situation where is he pretty much like the clear 101 in Dynasty right now, or would you take whether it's Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts or whoever over him at this point?
I'll take Mahomes all day, every day, just because he has the most pocket presence out of all of those guys, and I think his longevity just is a little bit longer than those guys, and he's got enough rushing upside to him that I don't think you're hurt that badly by it.
Yeah, I was going to say that the big thing. The big thing is we see Josh Allen is like always just getting banged up, and here and there misses a game, misses 2 games, you know. So I just think when you with that 101, like you just want to feel confident, you know. So I think Mahomes is that super easy to just always go with him. I mean, I've seen Hurts go sometimes, but it's just like, you know, same as Josh Allen. I think he could get injured. I just think Mahomes is just so like smart in the way he does everything. I just think it's the most secure, you know, if I got that 101 spot, he's the most secure.
I think so too.
Player. I agree. I think he really showed us that last year too, with Tyreek being traded away, and he just went down anyway.
He just figured out how to make the offense work.
Yeah.
He just needs bodies, I feel like.
Speaking of wide receivers, though, so we kind of touched on Kadarius Toney's hurt already. He had to get surgery. Andy Reid said that he has a chance he'll be back week 1. That doesn't sound overly promising when you say it like that. Are we ever
going to see him again in a Chiefs uniform?
So here's the thing. Like even if he is healthy week 1, let's say he is, but he misses the entire training camp. He's played 19 games in his 2 NFL seasons. That's
like an oddball, man.
That's like half of the games he's just missed. So how if you're, I mean, Andy Reid's smart, right? Like, how can you make this guy a focal point of your offense if he's only out there like half the time? I don't think you can. So then it boils down to you have Travis Kelce, you know he's the one in the offense, but even still, like Juju last year, it put up pretty good numbers for a wide receiver. Like who's the wide receiver you want here? There's Rashee Rice, there's Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore, Richie James. There's a bunch of Justin Ross hype that's been going all over Twitter.
Just get Richie now.
Yeah, I mean,
He's the cheapest. He's the easiest way into that offense.
If I were to say I needed to pick a receiver, I would go with Rice. They picked him in the draft. I mean, it's not like he just kind of fell to them. They didn't just but if you're wanting somebody that you're going to feel confident in, you got to wait and see from Rice. But like what Wes said, if I'm feeling confident in somebody, give me Richie James.
I want Sky Moore. I think
get a lot of hype.
Similar to some other offenses in the NFL, Kansas City's offense is, I think, it's a little bit more complex than you would initially think, just based on how prolific they are. And I think last year, and just in general, rookies generally have a harder time in that offense, especially at the receiver position. And so if you were burned by Sky Moore last year and now you're looking for Rashee Rice, I think you might be setting yourself up for failure again. In that sometimes the rookie receivers in Kansas City, they might take a little bit, but Sky Moore looks like, and this could just be training camp propaganda, but he looks like he's been doing really well, kind of bonding with Patrick Mahomes. I think is a good chance that he's actually the wide receiver one in that offense now. What that equates to for fantasy production, I don't know, but I do trust that Andy Reid's if he's a big part of the offense, he'll use him in the red zone and he'll get him open and he'll scheme him open. He could get some nice touchdowns there.
Is he still wearing number 24?
He is.
Yes.
I can't get behind that as a wide receiver.
That's fair. It does look weird.
It's so odd. It's very odd.
If you get past that, I think Sky Moore has some sneaky value there, and I think
it's Richie James. I think he's just being absolutely slept on. I think he's just a solid Juju type player, reliable.
So what I could see,
chain mover.
What I could see for Richie James is he could take over that kind of like McCole Hardman role, where he's kind of not so much like a gadget kind of guy, but they get him some quick screens and let him use kind of his speed, or they give him some underneath stuff. And he might not get you a ton of points, but he's not going to cost you a week either.
Yeah, he played well for the Giants last year.
He did.
Imagine what he does with the quarterback like Mahomes throwing him the ball.
How dare you? Daniel Jones is great.
I heard he's throwing the ball hard as hell today.
I heard that too.
Cole Beasley. Well, you've been out of the league for 3 years now, Cole. So
man, I love training camp. All these little news blurs we
get.
Fun.
Yeah,
everyone's in the best.
Never throwing the ball harder.
They're in the best shape of their life, throwing the ball harder than ever. Tua's got that new tattoo sleeve, and he looks ripped.
Tua's got a tattoo sleeve?
Yeah, you have to check that out. It actually looks pretty sick.
I will.
Anything else on the Chargers? On the Chiefs. We didn't touch on the running backs.
Can we talk about McKinnon? You have him RB14.
Yeah. I'm down with it. I'm down with that. I'm in because I was scooping up McKinnon last year for basically free, and everybody laughed at me about McKinnon last year. McKinnon's the dude. He's the pass catching back. CEH is a bum. Pacheco is between the tackles.
So
yeah, I'm with you 100%, Ron.
Pacheco's great. He's fast and he kind of has some home run ability. He's not going to be on the field in the red zone. You know who is? It's Jerick McKinnon. Mahomes checks down to the running backs, especially in the red zone, quite a bit. So McKinnon might not be on the field, most of the game. He might be only on the field for 40% of the game, but he's on there at he's getting the good snaps. Yep. He's getting the check down. So he's getting a ton of passing work. He was involved in the red zone a ton last year. There's always a chance for some regression there. So running back 14 is probably a little high. It's probably,
well, I think what's pulling him up there is the touchdowns. Is I'm with you. I really think he's going to get that red zone work. And we don't know who of the receivers are going to, it's as we talked about it, we don't even know. So I just think, that what's pulling him up those numbers is those touchdowns for sure. And I think I'd be more confident in McKinnon than any of those receivers, right? I just need to see it from one of the receivers before, because we've seen it from McKinnon. So I just think that's I was just kind of messing there. I think at RB14 is solid because he's somebody that we saw it last year, and I think they're going to continue to use him.
Well, and here's the thing too. It's you don't have to pay that price for him. You can
not at all.
Basically send I don't know, a late second, early third.
Late two is probably overshooting it easy.
Probably a couple thirds or a third and a shot in the dark kind of player. You can get him for pretty cheap.
Don't send that to
Especially
me for my McKinnon though. I'll
Well, that's
laugh
the
at
thing.
you
I don't.
in my
I don't.
head.
I'm not selling any of my McKinnons because he
Yeah.
won me a lot of leagues last year.
Yep.
And
And I
Yeah.
also think it just depends, like the team that you know, like if somebody's rebuilding and just trying to get points off their team, I think you can like send them a
Mhm.
rookie, not even a super good rookie. I think you'll be able to get
Sure.
McKinnon for super cheap.
Michael Wilson.
yeah, I'd send Michael Wilson away for that.
Yeah, for sure. I would, but I like.
Do you think that would get it done?
Depends on the roster, I think.
Yeah.
But
You
my
might
guess
need
is a lot of people that have McKinnon probably picked him up and are contenders. Like you could get him off the waiver wire like last year.
Yeah.
At certain points. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
He was free. He was free as free gets.
Mm-hmm.
That is for sure. And
I also think he's a.
Oh, go ahead, Holler.
I was just gonna say I think he's good and going to be good in redraft and best ball for sure. I think because he's cheap. I think I got him on my Warrior Bowl team as well, and I think I got him in like the 13th or 14th round. So I just think like he's cheap and he's going to get you points. Like I think he's a good. Say you got 2 flex spots, he's going to be a solid to get you 12 points. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Agree.
I love all the pass catching backs. That's
yeah.
That's my favorite deal. Extra points there, unless you're in a points per carry league. I'm probably.
We didn't touch on Kelsey, but he's going to get his. He'll get his.
There's not much.
Did you guys hear what Kelsey tried to do though?
Try to hit a T Swift, dog.
He did, man. I can't believe he got turned down.
He shot a shot, and she said, "Nah."
Dude, she shut him down. She shut down Travis Kelsey. Wow, I can't believe what a bad mistake that was.
The takeaway there is Kelsey's Riz is mid is what I took away from that.
I don't know what you just said to me, but
it's fine. Well, I'll explain it in the Discord later.
All right.
Did you guys? I don't know if you guys did. You guys see the golf? Mahomes and Kelsey versus Curry and
no,
it was pretty good.
Yeah,
Kelsey
did Mahomes win?
Yeah, Kelsey and Mahomes won, and actually,
of course he did.
Figured.
Kelsey, and Curry is actually a really good golfer, so I was impressed.
I've heard that as well. Yeah, I've never been a fan of Steph Curry, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
On to the Chargers.
Yeah. So
let's go.
This offense is about to take off in outer space. I'm really excited for it, and I think they're gonna let Justin Herbert just cook it all over the field. He's got one of the best arms in the league. He's one of the best like pure ball throwers, I think, and just like watching him play, like he's so talented. Now that he's got 3 good wide receivers and Austin Eckler, who's one of the best pass catching backs out of the running backs in the league, like I'm really excited to see what he can do this year. I have him down as my QB5, which honestly, like, would it shock anyone if he was the QB1 on the season? Because he has sneaky rushing upside too. Like he's actually like more mobile than you would.
T-Law mobile. He's got the T-Law mobility.
Exactly.
You wouldn't realize that it happened.
Long strides and just covers a lot of ground quickly. Yeah.
Yes, he does. Yeah, and he's super fun to watch. Herbert is, man. He's tough as hell too. We took that shot to the ribs last year, man, and played through all that. Woo, buddy. He's almost Stafford level. Almost.
It's a big compliment from you.
Yeah.
Wow. I know. It is huge. It is huge. So Austin Eckler is the running back 1. You don't think any of his contract disputes and his Zoom calls affect him in any way, shape, or form going into this season?
I think it helps him, if anything, right? Like they added some extra incentives to his contract. And generally when they do that, like the coaching staffs try to get, especially like players like that, they try to get you in situations where you hit those, right? Mm-hmm. So like I was looking it up before the show. Of course now I lost it. Eckler has, hold on, where is it? There it is. Okay, so he added up to $1 million in total incentives for total yards, and that's tiered between like 1,100 yards and 1,600 yards, and then an extra 600,000 on touchdowns, tiered from anywhere from 10 touchdowns to 16 touchdowns. Like I would be shocked if the Chargers staff don't try to get him to hit those goals. So which if you hit those, right, like 1,600 total yards and like let's just call it 12 touchdowns, like there's a good chance you could be the running back 1 on the season.
Yep. Yeah. And I just think they're going to use him a ton. Like I don't think they're gonna re-sign him next year. So I just think I think that the team overall is gonna be pretty sneaky. I think they could be really good if their defense comes together. I just think that team can be really good and shock some people. And there's nobody behind Eckler. He's gonna get all the work. I saw something on, I think it was Twitter, that I think it's just some Chargers fans, but like they're gonna want to see what they have in Kelly and Spiller. But there's no reason to do that. I just
Not much.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. There's just use Eckler. He's good. He's good. Like, your team is good, and just use him to his strengths. And I think, it's easily, like, I think he can hit those numbers and be RB1 for sure.
Keenan crushing it this year from McSpanky.
Yeah, so I have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I have Keenan at wide receiver 16 and Mike Williams at wide receiver 24. So both wide receiver 2s. This kind of, which makes sense. Like if Justin Herbert's going to be a top 5 quarterback, you kind of need someone to help bring him along. And I think the receivers are going to be at, like, Keenan Allen. He was hurt a lot last year, but when he was on the field, he was still good. Like he still had. I know he's getting older, but he still looked good. Mike Williams. The one thing he does super well is just run fast, deep, and catch jump balls, which I think is how they're going to use him. Right?
Jump really high in the air, fall on the ground, hurt.
So he could honestly have a stat line where it's just like he ends up with like 9-10 touchdowns and like a bunch of yards, but only like 50 catches, because they're just going to send them go balls and let Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnson do all like the underneath, and like Austin Eckler do all the dirty work, right?
Yeah, that's why I love Keenan. He's a technician, man. And you can't. He was never a speed guy, so he's been getting open as a slow guy his entire life. So it doesn't matter for him, in my opinion. When you're crafty, you're crafty.
Yeah, we talked about it already, but the biggest thing is going to be injury. And I do think if either of them gets injured, though, I think here comes QJ. I think he's going to be pretty darn good, and I think it will take time. But I just think he's been looking good. I've watched a little bit. He's been looking solid. Obviously the pads aren't on, but I just think he will be able to step in if either of those guys get injured.
The nice thing too with Quentin Johnson is I feel like he can fulfill either role, right? So if Keenan gets hurt, he can kind of do like the route, like kind of the underneath stuff. He's not nearly as good of a route runner. I know, Ron, your eyes just went like my whole screen was just your eyes being widened. He's not as good of a route runner, but he can still do some dangerous stuff underneath, and then he's fast, so he can kind of do like the deep ball stuff like Mike Williams can too.
I do think
he's more a Mike replacement than a Keenan replacement.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But I also just feel like, TCU didn't put him in the best spots to succeed. So I think
when Max Duggan's your quarterback.
Yeah, right. And so I do think
it will. There. He's in LA too.
Yep, he's in LA. It will really depend.
Maybe he'll surpass Justin.
Yeah.
Sorry, Holler, go ahead.
No, just kidding. No, but I just think it will totally depend on, like, I don't feel confident if QJ is like your wide receiver on your team, because unless one of those two guys gets injured, it's going to be tough for him to, be a consistent producer.
Well, Mike will be for sure pretty quickly here. He's gonna pop up on the injury report with some dinged up thing. I swear it'll happen.
He plays through those though a lot of the time.
I mean, he does, but he comes off the field for 7 to 8 plays, and then he's back onto the field, and
he does. But all he needs is that one, like jump ball in the end zone, and the next thing you know, he saved your day.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, I think like you're gonna see three receptions, 60 yards and a touchdown. That's gonna be like his typical stat line.
Sure.
Right. So because he gets those deep balls. So I just think, we'll see. I'm a little bit of a fan, so I'm hoping they don't get injured this year. And I think that team's going to be really good.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch the Chargers as well.
Yeah.
They're going to be a fun team to watch.
Spot I'm most interested in is Gerald Everett. Does he repeat his season last year?
He was fine last year. He wasn't like great.
Right, but that's fine for the tight end. And it is.
And I do think that what made him, like, he stepped up big when, like, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams were out. So I think if both of them are going to stay healthy, that's Everett's going to take a step back, right? Because I think he stepped up when those guys were out, and he was able to get some more targets, get a few more touchdowns. I do think in like a tight end too, like he'll be a solid. I think he'll be okay, but I just don't like, he's not somebody I'm like confident in, especially if Allen and Mike Williams are healthy.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel confident starting Everett either. And especially because like during the offseason training programs, I heard a lot of hype around Parham. What's his name? Donald Parham.
Donald.
Yeah. Which they seem to really like him. They used a bunch of tight ends last year. Like they just had like random dudes catching touchdowns all last year from the tight end position. And you would be like, oh, sweet. Was it Everett? Nope. Okay. Well, that's a bummer.
So you got that number 7 out there playing tight end.
It's the teams. Man, the players with the funky numbers, man. They don't work out.
I don't know. I think Everett's going to work out. I'm interested to see if the Kellen Winslow, if that was Dak that likes tight ends, or if it was Kellen Winslow's offense
Kellen
that
Moore.
likes tight ends. Or yeah, Kellen Moore.
Kellen Winslow. That's a good.
He was a tight end.
He was a tight end. I see how.
Jeez Louise! Wow.
So now that I think, like, I was pulling up Everett's stats, and last year he was like 58 receptions, 555 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And so I think a lot of times what made him pretty good is when Mike Williams and Allen were out, they needed somebody else because they had what's his name? They had they had
Jalen
Guyton and
Josh Palmer. Yeah, so I think, like we've talked about already, if those two guys stay healthy, Allen and Williams, then I think Everett's going to be meh.
Everett's a good complimentary, like real life football player more than like a fantasy asset.
I wish Cole Kmet had Gerald Everett's tight end numbers last year.
Cole Kmet actually had decent numbers. I was looking at him.
Dude, he got paid $1 bazillion too. Sorry that we're not in the NFC North, but that contract to Cole Kmet.
That just pissed off all the running backs too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like, oh my gosh, he got more guaranteed money than Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. Well, don't play running back, kids.
We digress.
Yeah. Well, I would just to get to the league. Let me go on the soapbox. Stop bitching and moaning about how much you get paid to play a game. Dude, what is your problem? You're out there to have fun and play this damn game that everybody loves, and you're out here crying your hearts out because you're not getting paid millions and millions and millions of dollars. How many endorsement deals do you have on the side that aren't even part of that contract because of how good you are at this game? Come on, dude.
Right. So I get what you're saying, and I get that argument, but at the same time, like, if you're that valuable to your team and you're getting paid less than like backup wide receivers who don't even see the field, like that's not okay.
I also understand that.
Yeah.
But
I agree. I'm with Spanky here. I mean,
hell, dude, backup quarterbacks make more than good starting running backs.
Well, ask the 49ers how much they would have loved to have a third backup quarterback, when everybody went down. They'd have paid that guy.
Backup quarterbacks
coming off. You can pick a running back up off the street and say, "Hey, just hit the hole, man. That's all we need this week." And somebody can do it. I guarantee it.
Yep, I'm with you. I get it.
It's talking about position. It's a replaceable position.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
That's all it is.
Well, let's talk about a backup quarterback, huh?
Don't you dare! Don't you dare! So first of all, Jimmy Garoppolo is not a backup quarterback. He's my quarterback. I actually have him. I think he's going to do really well in this system.
I see that.
I have him at QB 15. For those not looking at my projections,
is that above Stafford?
It is.
It is.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Listen,
I will easily. I will. We can talk about it, but I would make any bet you want that Garoppolo outplays Stafford on a points per game basis.
Done.
Okay,
let's go.
We'll figure it
odds.
Out. I don't need odds, just straight up.
Okay, I'm in.
Garoppolo, he's very familiar with Josh McDaniel's system, right? Like some of his best games were when he played in New England under him. I think the offense just makes sense for him. He knows where the plays are supposed to go. He has Devontae Adams, who is the best receiver he's played with. Man, I think this offense is gonna flow really well. For heaven's sake, dude, like Jarrett Stidham last year, he put up 400 yards on the 49ers. Because getting a quarterback that knows the system goes so far in this offense. Derek Carr, there were just so many missed opportunities where he didn't know where the ball was supposed to go, or he overthrew things. The one thing about Garoppolo is he's gonna throw accurate balls. He's gonna make the right play and keep the offense moving and on the field. And there were so many games last year. I think there were 5 double-digit leads that the Raiders blew last year because Derek Carr just kept going 3 and out over and over and over again, and the defense just didn't have it in it to stay there. So I think if you had Jimmy Garoppolo on those teams, I think you win a lot of those and you don't blow those leads. Maybe this is just my homerism. I don't know. I just think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be great. I think Devontae Adams is going to be awesome. I think Michael Mayer is going to have a good season. I think Jacoby Myers is going to do his thing. The one thing I am worried about is Josh Jacobs. I don't think he's playing. I think he's playing.
Without Josh Jacobs and any semblance of a run game, I think you can throw all of this out the window. Yep. Because Jimmy Garoppolo cannot be relied on as a quarterback. He's a system quarterback, like you said. He's good in that system. Hold on just a second. We're recording, sweetheart. He's a system quarterback. So once that system falls out behind him, he can no longer, he doesn't have – you guys take it over.
So here's the thing with Garoppolo and the run game, or just the run game in general. How many times in New England did they make a running game work with just average talent at running back, right? Stephon Ridley, dude, he had a top 12 running back season. Garrett Blount was their leading rusher one year, and he was their RB1.
Tom Brady led all of those offenses.
Fine. That's fair.
It's a different brain. It's a different mindset than Jimmy Garoppolo.
It's the same offense, though, and that's not my point. I think you can. That offense allows sub-average talent to be better than they are. And I think Josh Jacobs is an elite running back talent, so he's putting up crazy numbers. But I think this offense makes just okay running backs like Zamir White look really good. Zamir White, if he's going to be the one that takes over the workload, I think he could easily put up a running back 2 season, a running back 20 to 24, just because I think the system calls for it, and the offensive line is surprisingly okay in Vegas.
So I worry if
Jacobs
get
behind any of that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm kind of.
It's fine.
I'm listening to a fan here. I feel like.
How many times have we seen? Oh, go ahead, holler.
I was gonna say you make really good points. I just worry if Jacob doesn't play, Zamir White and Amir Abdullah, they need that's. I know you brought up the Patriots not having any running backs, but all those guys you said are much better than Zamir White and Amir Abdullah. So I just feel like it. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe because we haven't seen it from Zamir White, and we have Amir Abdullah is just bland.
I don't think Josh McDaniels is a good coach. I think everybody that tries to take that New England system out of New England winds up ruining it, running their whole team into the ground. And I think Josh Jacobs is the first domino to fall there. I think we saw some irresponsibility from the Raiders going out to get Devontae Adams and try to push for that win when they really weren't ready in an AFC West that is freaking loaded, and you thought you could go get Devontae Adams and you were going to compete there with Mahomes and Herbert. I don't know, man. I think McDaniels has just turned this into a whole debacle, and he's going to put his tail between his legs and head back to New England after this year.
So I get where you're coming from, but the Raiders, their record was a lot worse than their team was last year. They lost so many one-score games.
Sure.
Which and then you look at the inverse of that, the Vikings won all those one-score games. Most of the time, those things can have a tendency to regress. If you just win even half of those, all of a sudden the Raiders were a 500 team as opposed to
I did this with Matt Patricia for 3 years.
I understand. Matt Patricia's not the same. We've
go look at BOB's track record. Romeo Crennel's track record.
Hold
Brian
on.
Flores
Bill O'Brien had some good teams in Houston.
BOB is probably the best.
He was Bill O'Brien was a good
Charlie Weiss
coach. He just was not a good general
GM?
manager, which is what Houston gave him the responsibility. And Charlie Weiss hold on. Charlie Weiss, he had a couple good years at Notre Dame. Like
I was going to say,
Yeah,
Notre Dame, he had some awesome years, but
he had some really good years.
That's not the pros, though.
With Brady Quinn.
I like Charlie Weiss, yes, and Brady Quinn.
But yes, then he drove that program into the ground, and I painfully watched that for many years. Back to the Raiders. Yes, this is a little bit of like my fandom coming in, but the offense was good. The defense, they spent a lot of money bringing in help there. Like if the defense is just fine, like all of a sudden the Raiders like look a lot better, and I think you'll feel better about them. I think the offense is going to look more polished with the quarterback knowing what he's doing. And yes, the running game, it won't be as good because Josh Jacobs can take, any carry to the house, and like Zamir White and Amir Abdul and Sincere McCormick and all these other guys they have back there can't do that. But the system allows for them to be able to have like a functioning run game.
I didn't know Sincere was still on the roster. I'm sorry. I just got super excited that he's still there because he's actually better. He's better than Zamir.
He's actually pretty good.
I like Sincere's tape a lot. From what it was at UTSA or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think
give him a shot, please.
I do think I was looking more at these names of the receivers, and I do think if it is Zamir White and Amir Abdul, they're just going to rely on Adams and Jacoby Myers, and I think that'll be okay. I think if the Raiders want to be good, though, they really need Jacobs, and then I think that whole offense will flow 100 times better. So I just think it really will depend on if Jacobs plays, and I think easily it will be like a night and day. So I think it really relies on Jacobs, but I think it's possible Garoppolo could be QB 15 if it all, even if Jacobs doesn't play, they're going to probably rely on Garoppolo even more. And so I think it's even more possible that he is, QB 15 or higher.
I think so too. So like, even if Jacobs doesn't play, I think they're just going to try to transition some of the running game into like quick passing game. Yeah. Right. They drafted like 1,000 like slot receivers. Like, I mean, we got Jacoby Myers, Hunter Renfrow, and then we drafted that Trey Tucker from Cincinnati, who's just a fast little slot guy. So, like, I don't know. I think Garoppolo is going to be fine.
Do we think Renfrow makes the roster?
I do. He has a lot of money.
That was the weirdest tweet I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna cut him.
Yeah.
Like the dude was a wide receiver 1 and he produced for your offense when he was the only thing on the field. And you're going to this is what I'm talking about like the whole McDaniels kind of weird Belichickian stuff going on. Like, you guys think Renfro's not making this roster? What the heck?
No. He's
get rid of a player like that.
Yeah.
This might be like one of those like an inside like tweet to like get him to kind of light a fire under him to like maybe he's not as motivated as
that dude doesn't need a fire lit underneath him. He's an undersized, slow slot player. He's got enough fire in him. He's already on an NFL field. I guarantee that dude's out there competing every day.
Fair.
Before we move on, like Spanky, you added a nice little note here. If Jacob sits out, would you guys buy Zamir White?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely not. I don't care.
But I think the problem is like if Jacobs does sit out, like Zamir White, people are gonna whoever has him, they're gonna want to cash out, right?
Yeah.
And the asking price is gonna be too high. And
absolutely.
Will you give a third for Zamir?
A third, yes, but I think you're gonna have to give a minimum of a second.
Oh, jeez.
And
if you want to go get him now, because we don't really know what's going to happen with Jacob. So go get him now.
That's probably too late now.
Best Ball's weekly winners tournament. That's some cash money because he might have. He's probably going to have at least a couple good weeks if Jacobs is out.
50 yards and a touchdown.
I did see something on Twitter today. I wish I think I just scrolled through, but there was like Jacobs trade, like possibly trade him, but I don't think that's going to happen either.
So you'd have to sign him first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Should we shoot through the Broncos real quick here?
Yeah, giddy up.
Yeah, let's ride.
Let's ride.
Javonte is already out on the field and ready to locked, cocked, ready to rock. Kind of mad about all my Samaje P. Ryan. You didn't think it was going there, did you?
I heard some words. I kind of tuned out, and it brought me right back.
So. I'm kind of upset that we don't get to see a little bit more Samaje P. Ryan, in a focal point. I've always liked Samaje P. Ryan. That's just
I personally think they're still going to use him.
Sure.
Like Sean Payton, he uses 2 running backs, so I think they're going to use him. And I think they want to ease
the Javonte Williams level.
Oh no, definitely. But I would really hope that they ease Javonte in, right? Because I don't. It's nice that he's out there starting, starting on not on the pup or anything, but I just think they really need to ease him in. And so I think and P. Ryan's a good running back. So I think we've seen Peyton use 2 running backs before.
Yeah, I think they're both going to be pretty well featured in the offense. I mean, going back to college, like Javonte Williams pretty much always split with someone, even North Carolina. He split the backfield with Michael Carter there. If you look at their splits, it was almost like 50-50, like the touches he had in college. So he's not like he's never going to take like the full workload, which is fine, right? Because he's very efficient with the touches he does get, and I think this offense really does favor running backs. I mean, if you look at all the years where Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram were there, like they both had a ton of value. So I think that's fine. And then the quarterback, Russell Wilson, like, man, I don't know, like he might honestly, like, would it shock you if he didn't finish the season as a starting quarterback for the Broncos?
Nope.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah, I mean, they brought in Stidham, right?
Stidham, yeah.
Stidham's there.
I mean, I have to be honest, it probably would shock me, but not like crazy. Right. I think I wouldn't say last year was a fluke, but that was a hot mess there. And I think a lot of that had to do with Nathaniel Hackett. But it's still possible. Like it would shock me, but like not like crazy. Right. I just don't think that have somebody like I know Stidham's okay, but I just don't think I think
Stidham will go out and run the offense. Russell Wilson will go rogue.
Yeah.
And I think that's what will cost Russell Wilson his job in the end. If he decides to go out there and go rogue and Russ wants to cook.
Yeah.
That's the thing with like Russell. Like there were reports that, he was like using the same, like audibles and stuff that he was in Seattle.
Yeah,
and even like
people didn't know what the hell he was even talking
about
on the field.
Yeah, the receivers didn't know what he was talking about, but like the other teams did because like they,
poor
watched film
man.
and he had his own little private corner office and like you had to schedule appointments with him and all this weird crap, right? Like I don't think that sits well with these NFL guys, like the locker room where you're like, oh, I can't even go talk to my quarterback. Like that's just
like he's above the team. You're not one of us.
Yeah, exactly. So
I don't like that at all.
He's got to get in line with what Sean Payton wants to do, and if he does, like,
better do it quick.
I think his game's deteriorating though too. I don't think he's the same player he was even like 3 years ago.
The legs are gone.
So the legs are gone. The arm strength has always just been like it's fine, right? It's not like great. But I don't know the receivers though. Like I'm not super bullish on any of them. Do you guys have?
I was just gonna ask, do you even want Jerry Jeudy anymore at this point? Because like, I mean, I got a bunch of Jerry Jeudy, but like, I'm like, I have Jerry Jeudy. Cool. Like 3 years ago, I was psyched to have Jerry Jeudy. Not so much anymore.
So I'm a little worried, but I feel like if Judy's the one I would want out of the group, obviously. But I just don't feel stoked. I think he's okay. And I think we'll see. I mean, I think it goes back to Russell Wilson, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's gonna be tough. And we'll see. I do think that the whole team. I think that this is just kind of because I like the Saints back with Sean Payton, but I think that team should be better, but we don't know for sure, right? It should be better, but we don't know for sure.
But I think they're going to be better because they lean on the run game. And they play action. They pack it in. They make it tough. They make it hard on everybody. They make it 1-score games and make you fight for it. I like to get Tim Patrick late because everybody in Denver loves Tim Patrick. Cortland Sutton. Where are you guys at with Cortland?
Sutton's dead to me. I don't think he's had too many injuries, and he's just not the same dude anymore.
Yeah, and they try to trade him, and I think it's just a matter of time before Marvin. Obviously, they're not the same, type of receiver, but I think Marvin Mims is going to one that's going to slide in as that WR2 in the offense. And so I think it's going to take time. So I'm not saying like, oh, I feel really confident in Marvin Mims, but I think it's going to take, Sean Payton went out and grabbed Marvin Mims. They moved up to get him. So he's going to use him unfortunately, he's already got a bit of an injury. But I just know that like Sean Payton goes out and gets his guys, right? So I think they're going to use Marvin Mims at some point.
I love that argument for Marvin Mims. The only thing that I have against Marvin Mims is Sean Payton has always got these guys that are gadgety type guys, but they just turn out to be his damn punt returner. And they'll have 2 or 3 games where they're like 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. And you're like, oh, Deontay Hardy, what's up? And then never to be heard from again.
So So Marvin Mims is kind of a guy I really like. I did some looking up, and he was a really good player in Oklahoma. Played on the outside, a slot receiver as well. And so it will depend. I think it will be nice to see what he does in the preseason. Because it'll be,
if he gets on the field.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to be healthy.
Yeah.
The best ability is availability.
Yeah. Honestly, though, I think the best receiving option that I feel like, I still think it's Judy, but I think I like Dulcich.
Do you? I like Dulcich too. I don't know. Like how many? I think it's part of this is like the Saints have just burned me Sean Payton offense. It's like how many tight ends have I talked myself into thinking that it's gonna be the guy chasing the next Jimmy Graham? Yeah. And they never are, right? So
he didn't even draft Dulcich.
Sure.
So that's pretty easy for Sean to tell him to see the door. They brought in Troutman to do the blocking.
Yeah,
whatever Troutman's gonna do. I won't go back down the Troutman hole. I'll never get any more Troutman onto my rosters. I won't fall for that trap again. But Troutman is a good football player on the field as an NFL player, and that's enough to keep Greg Dulcich off the field for less snaps and at a tight end position where I think you need as many snaps as you can get.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we'll see. The jury's out for sure. There's only been Jimmy Graham that's ever been like that one. I think it was maybe one season that he was really good in the.
He had a few good seasons.
Sean
There was
he had a few.
Is it Ben Watson?
He had a random tight end one season too.
Yeah. So I just don't think a Sean Payton offense features a tight end, right? And Dulcich is no Jimmy Graham.
Those offenses also had Drew Brees, not Russell Wilson. So
yes.
That's worth
that. Yep. Also, speaking of Jimmy Graham, don't forget he re-signed with the Saints.
Yeah, you know how many times it took me to read that, until I realized it was a 1-year contract, not like a 1 day he's going to sign.
Is it 1 year contract?
It's a 1 year contract.
I've been telling everybody at work, I'm like, yeah, he's probably just retiring. I would guess as a Saint.
No, that's what I thought too.
He's legitimately going to play, huh?
I think.
How old is he?
36.
Well, like 37,
old.
right?
I think this is more of the Saints owe him they didn't pay him much money, so it's here's the thing, he can come out, try out, and we're not promising anything.
Yeah,
I doubt he makes the 53-man roster. I would be very surprised.
Okay. Do you think they would do that for me?
One's a future Hall of Famer and one's not. So
one's I'm just spitballing. All you NFL teams out there, if you just need a guy, you were looking for a camp body, hit me up, man.
Could be.
Yeah, send them some of your pictures.
I could use a few bucks. I will too.
Send them some of your pictures.
That's for sure.
All right. On that note, let's get out of here.
See you.
Peace out,
everybody.
Peace.